Hi there, this is Jess McCann. I'm a dating and relationship coach and the author of 2 books, You Lost Him at Hello, and Was It Something I Said? And you are watching my weekly Q&A. And I just want to thank you for joining me. And hey, Nancy, you're the first one. Thanks for being here. So for anybody that's joining now, I just want to say that this is going to be a regular Q&A that I'm going to do every week. Hey, let's see who we got here. Jan, Jayla, sorry, I'm so blind. I need to go to the eye doctor. Hi, Nancy. So thank you for joining me, guys. This is going to be a weekly Q&A. You might have joined me last week or the week before. But I'm going to be answering your dating and relationship questions. Please keep sending them to me. I love getting them, and without them, I have nothing to talk about. So if you have a situation that's happening with you right now and you're frustrated, you don't know how to handle it, send me an email, coach@jessmccann.com. Or you can just go to my website at jessmccann.com, and there's a nice little contact form right there. You can fill it all out. I keep things anonymous, unless you want me to say it to you. But I try to keep everybody private and details private for obvious privacy reasons. Hey, Amanda. Oh, hey, Open Door Farm. I wonder who that is. Is that Mara or is that Frank? But either way, thanks for joining me. Okay, so yeah, this is my weekly Q&A, and I did mention about my books, but I will say, let me just mention one thing. I think a lot of people have seen my recent post, or seen my last email about, my last video about rebating, when guys are going on dates with girls, and when the girl says she's not interested, the guy Venmos or PayPal requests her to pay him back for the date. Which is crazy. I know everybody is weighing in on that and has an opinion, and I will, I'll probably address that again in another video. But it's just so, that example to me just goes to show you how vastly different the dating scene is right now, and how things have changed so much with relationships. That I started to really think about what my purpose is here for you. Because when I started these videos, I thought, well, I'm a dating and relationship coach. I'm just going to keep going with that. But the truth is, I really want to be more than that. I want to be a resource for people that are struggling to with how to handle any relationship in their life, whether it's romantic or if it's just a friend or a family member. Relationships can be sticky and tricky, and people are often looking for advice about how to handle it. And I know I've doled out a ton of advice to my friends and family, but now I'm going to offer that to all of you guys. Don't just think that I'm interested in your situations when it comes to romance. I'm interested in it all, and I want to help everyone deal with their relationships in a more positive way so that they can be more fulfilling. And I hate to say that relationships are on the decline. Let me say hi to a few people here. Hey, Lolly. Hey, Lisa. Thanks for joining. I think that they're on the decline because communication is becoming, we're just lacking communication these days because we're not talking like we used to. We're doing all of our communicating over text, or we're commenting. We're communicating through the comment sections of things. And when you can't sense someone's tone or inflection, you certainly can't sense sarcasm. You just don't know if it's humorous or if it's not, and the message is often misconstrued. So I think it's really, really important that we get back to the basics with communication. And I just want to be that resource for people when they don't really know what to say or how to handle something or someone, and help them understand the other person's side as well. So, okay, so let's start this off, this Q&A, with the first email I got, which was a little heartbreaking and started me down this path of examining flaky behavior. The first email reads this: Hello, Jess. I am really seeking insight to how to respond to a specific situation. The father of my son has been absent from our lives and has never met our son. He has been coming around, she has that in quotes, in the form of calling or texting every few months. He expresses guilt and makes promising comments that he wants us in his life and that he wants to meet up, but never sets a time or date and flakes in terms of ghosting. What, in your opinion, would be the best thing to say when he comes around again? I'm at a loss for words at this disappointment, and I feel a lot of sadness that my son still does not know his father. He's 2. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Well, I know what you guys might be thinking, because immediately what I thought was, oh, this guy's a deadbeat dad. He's probably drinking or doing drugs. He probably doesn't have a job, and he's just saying one thing and then hitting the bottle and forgetting about it. But I did follow up with her, and I asked her, does he have a good job? Has he ever abused drugs or alcohol? Does he have any other really terrible problems that warrant that he, get professional help? And she said no. She said he has a good job and that she's not really noticed any abuse of substance abuse. So he seems like he's just a regular, normal guy. So what do you do with that? Well, I started to think about flaky behavior because I've seen a lot of it as a coach, and I can kind of break it down into 4 different categories about why people are flaky. So the first reason that I found people are flaky is because some people are pleasers, and we all know those people, the people that want approval from us and say yes to everything because they are afraid to say no to you. So they say yes, even though in the back of their head they're thinking, I don't want to do this, or I have no intention of doing this, but I'm not going to say it to your face because I know it's not what you want to hear, and I don't want this to be awkward, or I don't want you not to like me. So there is that. They please because they're afraid of losing your affection, and they think if they say what you want to hear, then you'll continue to like them, even though they let you down. The second category of flaky behavior is, I don't know, I guess I call this person the cheap talker. And you know the expression that talk is cheap. And it is, because talk really is cheap. I mean, I don't know, I just looked at my data plan and my text plan, and I'm like, wow, I get so much for so little. But talk is cheap in the way that actions take a lot of effort. In these days, we can just, thumb something to someone, and it can really strike at their heart. We can thumb, how much we care about them, how much we love them. But when it comes to showing up and acting that way, that takes a lot more effort. So there are people that are just cheap talkers, and their words have no weight. So that's the second one. The third would be someone that is selfish and irresponsible with their words. And certainly we've all met those people. People that manipulate your feelings, use your feelings to get what they want. They say how much they care about you, and they sweet talk you, but then they turn around and do something else because it's what they want to do. So they're really exploiting your relationship with them. And there are people like that. Yes, it does border on sociopathy, but those people exist. And then the last is that there are genuine people out there, people that, make promises and fully intend to keep those promises. However, when it comes to acting on that promise, something happens and they start to worry that they're not going to live up to the promise or the fulfillment that you're looking for. They essentially just chicken out. And that could be the case with this guy, where it's a huge thing to meet your son for the first time. I would assume that there's a lot of gravity there, and he might really want to meet him. And then when it comes to actually setting the time and date and knowing that it's coming, he might freak out and think, well, what if my son doesn't like me? What if I don't like my son? People think that way before they have children. And he might actually scare himself into inaction. So that could be the case with this guy, knowing the very little that I know about him. So how would I handle this? Oh, hey, Sarah. Gosh, I haven't talked to you forever. I hope you're doing well. Hey, Beatrice and Kelly and Mark. Hi, everybody. So how would I handle this? I would probably wait till he says it again. Wait till he makes the promise that that he's going to come around. And I would say something like, I would love to have you in my son's life or our son's life. Every time when you say that you want to visit, it makes me really happy. However, when nothing materializes from that declaration, the disappointment is really, I feel the disappointment in my heart. It's really, it really makes me sad. And I would just leave it there and see what he says. Because quite often when someone disappoints us, we automatically jump to attacking them or being angry with them. And I think there should be an extra step in there, which is explaining how you really feel, explaining how their actions make you feel. So I would try that. And then depending on your relationship with him and depending on what kind of person you are, you could go one step further and say something like, it's too painful for you to promise to visit and then not have that come to fruition. So I would ask you not to say this again until you're really ready to take action and set a time and a place to meet. And that's a little more direct, and some people don't want to do that, but there's nothing wrong with saying that. So those are the two things that I would probably say to this woman the next time her ex comes around and claims he wants to meet their son. Now, the second, once I put this out there that we were talking about flaky behavior, I had another email come to me from someone who was very worried about was very worried that I wouldn't keep it confidential for some reason. And so she told me her story, and it sounded a lot like one of the examples I have in my book. Now, if you guys don't know about this book, it's a Q&A book about how to handle sticky situations. And it is all Q&A. I mean, if you open it up, there's just question after question. How do I handle this? What do I do about that? So I realized that there is a almost exact parallel here for this girl's situation. I'll read it to you guys. Dear Jess, what does a girl do with a guy who is never consistent? My on and off again boyfriend of 2 years has admitted before that he has never been consistent in any relationship. And recently, after a car accident, he called and told me he realized I was the love of his life and things were going to change. But then I didn't hear from him for 3 days. When I finally called him, he told me he was just stressed from work and he needed space. I'm so confused. Why does he profess his love one minute and then keep me at arm's length the next? So, that would to me be a clear indication of selfish behavior. Someone that is taking advantage of their relationship and that woman's feelings to get his way and to do what he wants. Again, talk is cheap. So, one thing that honestly can perpetuate a situation like that where someone is constantly letting you down is your own inconsistencies with reacting to their behavior. So if a guy lets you down one time and you say, oh, that's okay, and then he lets you down a second time and you say, okay, again, and then the third time you get angry, but then the fourth time you say it's okay again, then you have to realize that you've got your own inconsistencies. And it's very important that, for big letdowns, you really verbalize how disappointed and hurt you are and set a boundary for it. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening. I will say that one thing I notice a lot of is people saying that's okay when somebody hurts them or when somebody disappoints them. And I'm giving you permission to say something else, something like, oh, I'm hurt, or oh, I'm disappointed, or oh, that's a bummer. I was hoping to see you or get together with you. It's absolutely okay to say all these things to people, to share your feelings. Just do it kindly. And if your boyfriend is doing this, if he is consistently flaking even after you have this conversation and you get consistent with your own reactions to his behavior, then the only thing you're left to do is disengage. Give him some distance and draw that line and tell him, listen, I need more consistency from you. And he will either do it or he'll push back on you and he won't do it. But then you'll pretty much know that that is the way he is, and you'll have to either accept him or move on. So kind of a lighter email that I got in the subject came in early this morning from someone that has encountered a lot of flakiness with dating. And she wrote this: I have a question about a situation I have encountered multiple times in regard to flaking. I've had several situations where a guy from an app will say something along the lines of, would you like to get drinks this weekend? When are you free? I respond with a day and time, and they say, okay, great. But then I don't hear from them. And I follow up. I don't know when to follow up or how I should follow up. And I feel like I'm holding a spot in my schedule without definite plans. What should I do? Yeah, this is something a lot of girls encounter. Hey, Victoria, how are you? You know, my point of view on this has changed recently, because 5 years ago, app dating wasn't big. Everybody was dating on Match.com or eHarmony, and you had to go to your computer, sit down, log in, answer your emails, and then when you were done, you got up and left. So, you know, if you spend an hour on it a day, then that was good. Now, because dating is now in your phone and your phone goes everywhere with you, you can be swiping and texting people that you don't know all day long. It's like internet dating on speed. So that's really changed the game here. Because before I would have said, well, just wait and see if the guy emails you about your date tonight. And if he doesn't, that says something about his interest. But I can't say that anymore, because men and women are just talking with so many people. When I log onto my clients' apps, Tinder or Bumble, they have slews of matches and slews of conversation going. I mean, it's very hard to keep up. So what I would say now is you need to follow up the day before and text the guy and say, hey, are we still on for tomorrow night? Because I was just about to make plans with someone, little fear of loss, but I noticed that I had you in my calendar for tomorrow, and I'm totally fine either way, or I'd still like to meet you. I just want to know, something to that effect. So that's what I would do, because when you haven't met yet off the app, then you're not really a person yet. You're just a photo with some words, and you've got to think of yourself as like one of many photos and many words, and you have to stand out. So the most important thing is just to get on the date so that you can become a real person. Until you become a real person, I'd say anything goes, and just get on the date. The last question that I just promised I'd answer was from a girl that just asked, if I match with a guy online and he does not start a conversation, should I make the first move? And again, my answer would be yes, for the same reason I just stated. You need to stand out, you need to get on the date. So I wouldn't hound anybody, but if you match and you wait and you don't hear anything, especially with the apps that have like a time frame where your match is going to disappear in 24 hours, then I would reach out with a hey, and then something interesting about that you saw in their profile, and try to cultivate a relationship that way, a connection that way, that is. And try to get on the date. I don't think there's any problem. Now, if you do reach out first, I definitely prefer that the guy then ask you to go on the date. But again, that hard and fast rule is kind of fading because of app dating. It's crazy. App dating is just crazy. It's crazy busy. So that's all I have for today on flaky behavior, and I thank you guys for joining me and listening to me again. I hope this was helpful for you. I will remind you once again that I am the author of Was It Something I Said, which is a great Q&A book for how to handle any situation on texting, on sticky situations, on dating, on how to get into a relationship or move your relationship to the next level. It's all about what you should say and how you should handle it, and it's got concrete advice about it, tactical advice. So pick it up. It's online on Amazon or in the bookstore. Again, this weekly Q&A will be next Wednesday again. Send me more emails, coach@jessmccann.com. Anything that you're frustrated with that I can help you answer. And that's about it. Thanks for joining me, Shayna. Thanks for joining me, Bruce. I will see you guys next time.